Well, this is my case forklift. It's either a 480 or a 580. I'm not sure. That's my two newest steer cylinders. The two newest ones. I've put two on so far. There's a new battery which I caught on sale up at Walmart for $49. They had a closeout on it, $49. No trade-in, no tax only, and no refund. Here is the last cylinder I put on, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. It's been a while since I've watched this, to be honest with you. But that's the battery that was in it. There's some extra pipe, and this forklift I bought it. There's one of the new kitties. This forklift I bought it at an auction, and it's running now. I've got the sound turned down. Hopefully it's not real loud anymore. There you can see the oil coming out. It really pours a quart. I use a quart about every 5 minutes with it. Fairly expensive, but this is the second replacement cylinder that I put on it, and they both leak like that right there. So, but this is either a 480 or a 580. It had new tires on the front when I got it. I put new 10-ply steer tires on it. It's quite a horse, really. There's my Polaris Ranger up there that's got a cracked differential. Up there, the Ranger Crew 4-wheel drive with a cracked differential, and the oil pours out of it too. So I'm having bad luck with the oil, apparently. So anyway, we're going to take this one off and get one of the new ones and put it on and hope for the best. That's what we're going to do. And just so you know ahead of time, not as a spoiler, but it does work out in the long run. If you put enough of them on, I guess you finally get one that is built right. So, but anyway, I bought this at Kenny Grumman's estate auction several years ago, quite a while back. And it's been a really, really good forklift. And a gentleman called Edward Warren, he runs a dirt business down here, dozers and all that stuff. Here we got my splitter, little hand one. They made this for me at work. Very, very handy. He also made me one with a 2-foot handle, and then one with nothing, with just that right there. And between the two of them, I get almost anything off. I could not get that inner one off on this. And as you will see, I'll have to unscrew the tube from the knuckle joint on the inside. There you can see it's running because the wrenches are vibrating on the tire, and eventually they will fall off. So anyway, Edward Warren, he rebuilt the fuel injector pump on it. I think it's a Rusamaster, I believe, and Ed made it look like it wasn't nothing, but they get about $500 for doing that. And he just acted like it was no job at all, and it's run like a top ever since. But there's the old one, and I'm getting it down to where you can turn it to get it off, because you got it on this one. I had to unscrew it from the knuckle joint on the inside. And you got a couple lines there for your power steering fluid. I use transmission fluid. That's what we used at. I was a mechanic at General Motors, and they had it piped. We were in an assembly plant, and they had a line from the supply where they filled transmissions. And we used the transmission fluid from the production, actually. Whatever Chevrolet, Pontiac, Olds, and Buick, which is what we built back in the day of the muscle cars, whatever those four used is what we used. And we never had a problem with it. Worked very, very well. So you got to get these hoses off, which is no problem. The problem sometimes is getting them back on, but coming off, they're not too bad. Anyway, this forklift weighs about, I think, 12,000 pounds maybe, and it will lift supposedly 22 feet up. and it's got a 6,000 pound lift, and that's usually rated at 24 inches off the ground and with the load 24 inches from the backrest. That's how they usually rate them. And so this would be 6,000 pounds, 2 foot up and 2 foot out. And of course, the farther you get out on the forks, the more leverage it has to tip you over. So I've made it a point never to move one when they're all the way up. Some people do. I think it's rather foolish, but I guess it could be a pretty good thrill if it tipped with you. But I will never know because I won't do it. So anyway, here we're going to basically just unscrew it from the knuckle joint on the inside. And you may or may not have to take off the fittings from the cylinder to turn it. It's I was able to, but there could be something that catches on. I don't know. What I did was as you can see, I steered the wheel to the left, which gave me a little more clearance where I could swing it a little bit farther out and be able to have a little bit of room in there. So it's not a terribly difficult job, actually. The worst thing is getting the tie. I'll call it the tie down that goes on the inside in there, and getting that broke loose and tightened back up when you're all done. And I would advise to make sure it's working before you tighten that back up, because it's not going to go anywhere if you just back it up and back and forth a few times. So, and here's our new one. Here's our new cylinder. And these really, really look good. It's a good looking cylinder. It's heavier. Oh, I'm going to say maybe 3 pounds, 2 pounds heavier than the two I put on previously, which I'm just assuming has maybe a little bit thicker barrel to it. I don't think the knuckle joints could make that much difference because they are pretty much going to weigh what they weigh, but the thickness of the barrel could make a difference on it. And on all three of these, the fittings all worked. Everything went together fine. Length was okay. The fittings were okay. Everything hooked back up. The first two just leaked. You saw the one leak, and that's what the first one did. They both leaked just like that. So, and these are, you really can't get these fittings mixed up because they're both the same one, I found out. Now I put them back where they went. Where they came out, I put them back because that's, guy taught me, old Tom Brownlee. He said that's the old Arkansas method. Do them one at a time. You can't go wrong. So I've always listened to Tom Brownlee on that one. And same thing with wiring. If you don't get over 2 of them off, you're not in too bad a shape. And take one off and hook a new one on, and you won't have much trouble later if it don't work, because you know your wiring is correct. So anyway, these have got a little O-ring on them. And I've had these off now. This will be the third time, and I've had no problem with the O-rings leaking. Pretty good O-rings. A few more times, they probably need to be replaced, and it wouldn't hurt to replace them every time if you had them, which I do not. So I was pretty careful with these. Make sure they got a little oil on them so they seal right. And don't use a 4-foot wrench when you tighten them up, and you'll be okay. Now this one here does not have a grease cert on the knuckle joint, but it's got the rubber down there, so it's pre-greased, and no more than what I use it will never go dry, I guarantee you. I don't know, a few times a year is what I use it. And I am going to build a dock though, and I might be using it on that if weather and everything else permits. So we'll see about that. So anyhow, the hole on the right is where there's your knuckle joint in the middle of the truck, and you're going to screw that cylinder into that knuckle right there, into that stud on it. So if you just go slow, wiggle it a little bit, you can tell if it's crooked or not. It's not rocket science. It'll either screw on okay or it won't. If it don't, take it back off and start over. So sure beats trying to fix the threads on something underneath that truck like that. I've done it, and it's not fun. I don't want to do it again, I'll tell you. Now you can see here that the fittings are clearing for me, and I just had to beat that knuckle joint over just a little bit, give myself a little bit of room, and once it starts, you're fine. And there, it looks like it's going pretty good. So but these are not four-wheel drive. The steer, as you can see, the steer tires, steer axle, it's not four-wheel drive. But if you use your head at all, and if you're on solid ground, there ain't too many places that it won't go. It's got pretty good tires. Now on these fittings here, of course, you just gotta take your time and use the old rule of 3 threads by hand before you put a wrench on it. If you can't get 3, you got it crooked, and take it back off. Because you might not ruin you could ruin the fitting part, but you don't want to ruin the fitting on the hose. Because it's possible to file those out, but it is a pain. I've done it. It is a pain, I'll tell you. But so you make sure that you can turn it. You can watch here, and get 3 turns, 2 or 3 turns by hand, and you can tell when it's going okay. Just keep wiggling it and moving it, and it will finally take. And it's just a little bit of patience. That's all it is. We had a special set of files they gave us at the General Motors for times like this, when you would get one that somebody else had cross-threaded, and then you had to fix it. They'd sneak it in your stall some way and wouldn't tell you who worked on it before, and maybe give you a couple hours overtime to work on it. So wasn't supposed to happen that way, but sometimes it did. But you can see it did finally go, and reasonably tight. These are not a pipe thread. Pipe threads take friction to seal. They're on a taper, and these are on a bevel, basically. Either a 42, 45, 38. They got different degree bevels for different fittings, and as long as they're good and snug. I mean, you don't want them loose. You don't want them shaking loose, but you don't do them like a pipe thread either. So we've got our hoses on, and it's going to be time here pretty quick to try out and see if this is a better unit, better steer cylinder than what the other first two were. We're going to hope it is. You can see the alternator turning, so it is running. I don't know if you can hear it or not, because I'm doing the narration now and I can't tell if you can hear it or not. Turn it a few times, get the oil going in it. It was the crude oil shot all the oil out of it. Okay, now we're going. All right. Now it basically will not leak if the wheel is not attached. If you take it out like that, none of them would leak like that right there. You had to hook it up to the wheel, to the axle, where it had some real pressure. And this wheel has real pressure because it's sunk about 4 inches in the ground. So it's got real pressure. It's like being set in concrete. So it doesn't take much. You won't see the tire go very far. I got to back it out for her to do that because it rained in there and a little water and it sunk down. It's fairly heavy, actually, this thing is. I was actually sitting working on something when one of these tires blew, and it scared me a little bit. Made me jump, I'll have to admit. There we just kind of poking on it a little bit to get it down in the taper there. You can see our alternator still turning, so she's running. You don't want to get your hair or your shirt in there because it would be quite a thrill getting drugged around by that thing. But this has been an awful good forklift. Like I say, it'll go 22 feet in the air. And I've got a couple old Geo Metros, and I move them around like nothing. Throw the forks underneath them with some lumber to keep them piercing the bottom of the body. Put some Tubatens under, and I move them with no problem at all. So, and I think they weigh. I'm thinking, been a long time. I bought them fairly new, but thinking they weigh about 2,500, 2,200. Got a little 3-cylinder. I think it's an Isuzu engine in them. Wonderful little engine. Little 5-speed with a 3-cylinder. I think it's 62 cubic inches, I believe. 63. It's a 1.0, so it'd be 63 cubic inches, 3-cylinder. Runs like a top. Those things just run like a top. So anyway, here we got our. All right, there she's going. She's wiggling. We're getting a little pressure on it, and I was very happy I'll admit, very happy that this one did not leak. Not sure why the others leaked. We used to rebuild cylinders, and 2 of them in a row like that leaked. I don't think they had a bad run of seals, because they looked really good. I mean, they looked new. They looked good. And I guess they could have had a bad run of seals on them or something, and or somebody nipped something when they put them together. Maybe, I don't know. But usually don't have that problem. We did a lot of cylinders. We rebuilt all the cylinders on the forklifts, and I was in 4 different plants, and each plant would have about 200 forklifts, and you do a lot of cylinders over the years of those. They do a lot of work in those car plants. They are pretty much run them around the clock. But here we're going to test it out, see if it works or not. That's my that carport there is called an 8-foot sides, and it's got 13 foot at the middle. Now to the left here, you can't see it. We've got one that we bought for a combine, and Myra Jane, my wife, she bought it for me for a gift, and it was for a motorhome. And I think it is I think it's a 13 or 15 foot maybe, and it is tall, and it's 24 foot wide, and I love it. It's a wonderful thing, man. So first she married me, then she bought me a carport. You can't hardly beat that. But anyway, you can see those tires hold up good, and those front ones are really good. Old Kenny Gurman, he was a good neighbor. Liked him a lot, and miss him a lot. He was good to have around, I tell you. So anyway, that's the thing on the 3rd steer cylinder, and they're not too bad actually. But just watch where you're swinging your hammer so you don't mash your fingers. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get off here, and thanks for watching, and be safe out there, and have a good day. And thank you for watching. I just realized that there's some more to this video, so I'm back, and I'm not sure what it is. Okay, this is the cylinder that we just installed and drove, and that's completely dry. You saw the other one when we started. That is completely dry, no drips, nothing. That's a good cylinder, really a good one. Glad I wound up with it. And let's see what else is on this video. Oh, there's something. Oh, okay, this is my 560 McCormick International Harvester farm awl, and this is the wheel that split. Apparently it had that calcium in it at one time and rusted out the wheel, and it split right off that rim and went flat. Now I got to spend $600 for a wheel one of these days when I get a little extra money. There's our shed that we're moving in for the kittens. We'll put it right back there once I kill that grass out for the kittens to live in, and the cats. We got several barn cats down here, and they're going to have got them in the shop right now. They're kind of tearing stuff up, so got a 3,000 square foot shop there total, and they're playing havoc with it. And then there's that's the double carports I had, those are called 8 foot, because the sides are 8 foot, and it goes up to about 13 and a half.